today we were gonna read Rowie Jefferson's Awesome Friendly Adventure Story. It's a new book that we have just started right now. Yesterday. So we should the end of reading this chapter for today. And now already for read this one book with a lot of stories. Now here we go. And first we should read Rowie Jefferson's Awesome Friendly Adventure Story, starting at page 12. After I wrote the first chapter of my book, I showed it to my mom, who said she was proud of me for using my imagination. Then she said she couldn't wait to find out what happens next. I haven't shown it to my dad yet because I want to finish it first. And when I'm done, I'm gonna ask him to read it to me as my bedtime story. But I'll pretend I don't know what's gonna happen, so it will be special. I was pretty excited to show the book to my best friend Greg Hafley because he likes stories with dragons and wizards and that kind of stuff. And I figured he'd think it was pretty awesome. But I couldn't really tell if he likes or not because at first he didn't say much. I said Greg that what he thought of the story so far, and he asked me if I wanted to be the honest option or if he should tell me what I wanted to hear. And I said I wanted his honest opinion. But Greg reminded me that the last time he asked for the honest opinion, it got him in trouble. It was the time I showed him tap dancing routine and taking my first lesson. Tappity, 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 prop. Greg told me he thought it was terrible and that hurt my feelings. So I told his mom what he said and she wasn't happy. Greg said if he told me his honest opinion about my book and it hurt my feelings. I wasn't allowed to go running to his mom. So I said okay, and we take a pinky swear. After that was settled, Greg told me all the things that were wrong with my story. The boy had a lot to say. The first thing he said is that I can't start the book with Once Upon a Time because that was a corny and makes it sound like a fairy tale. And that kind of hurt my feelings right away because it's supposed to be the fairy tale. Then Greg had no offense, but his Roland character was a lot of problems in the biggest on his hair. He said Roland had a mullet, which is the worst type of the haircut person can have. I said the reason Roland's hair is long in the back is so he'll look cool when he does the action stuff. And Greg said maybe Roland could take a haircut beginning of the chapter 2. Then Greg said no offense, but Roland kind of seems like a baby, and it's not really believable that a baby's age would slip his parents' bed. And that made me feel a little awesome because sometimes I sleep in my parents' bed, especially on nights where there is a really bad thunderstorm. Greg taught me a long time ago that if you say no offense and then the other person isn't allowed to have hurt feelings but about what you say after it. But I think that only works with kids because one time I tried on my dad and he got mad. No offense, but your breath stinks. Greg said the books was gonna be too boring if it was only about Roland and that he needed a sidekick. I I said maybe Roland could have a best friend who goes with him, and his name would be Greg Happily. But he told me everything about his life. Copyright Greg Happily, and if I use his name, I'd have to pay him money. I decided. Oh, so I decided to make of it different sidekicks for Roland because I don't want any trouble with Greg. Greg said he didn't know if he could read a story about a boy who has to rescue his mom because it was too weird. So I said maybe I should switch Roland's mom for a princess and Roland could rescue her instead. But Greg said no, nowadays princesses are 12 and know how to fight, so they don't need some guy to rescue them. He said, I wrote a book about a helpless princess who needs to save by some dude when I got a ton of energy ladders. Well, that got me a kind of worried because I don't want to get a bunch of angry ladders, but Greg said I could put my publisher addresses on the back of the book, and then all the angry ladders would go to them. I said I just writing the book for myself, and that wasn't really trying to get it published. But Greg said if I was gonna do all this work, I might as well to cash in. He said that if my book gets published, I'll have to think about movies and toys and t-shirts and swimwear and all sort of other stuffs too. And that sounded complicated. When Greg said he made me a deal, he said I could focus on writing and he'd handle everything else. And then we'd split all the profits 50-50. I was excited because that meant Greg and Greg were be me and Greg were gonna be partners, so we did another pinky swear to make it official. Now it's chapter 2. So today's story was about Dad, Gregory and Greg Happily and what was it? Rowie Jefferson have said about the chapter 2 stories. So let's see this imagination. Jefferson, Rowie and Greg's. So Rowie and Greg's imagination story for tomorrow. And now, did you have fun? Yellow's English Country. We come back with some new book and new stories for tomorrow. And now, please thumbs up my YouTube and bye bye everyone.